Episode 98. Hot on the trail of Lady Iceheart and her admittedly cool dragon cultist heretics. Actually, I guess I already unlocked the dungeon so I can queue up for it here without flying over. Wait time is 13 minutes. I guess I could fly over there to wait, but it's warm inside. Guess we'll wait here. Snowcloak. Our first instance of a patch dungeon being integrated into the story. Previous dungeons have all been optional from patch 2.1 to 2.3, but this is the first time it's required by the quest. The main story. Main quest scenario? MSQ. Main scenario. Questline? Whatever. The point is, the developers at this point realized that all of their resources being spent creating dungeons and modeling them and all that could be better spent creating them or making them part of the story, really extend the amount of time people are playing the game or make the most of the time that they play the game. Give them the interesting stuff in the main story rather than shove it off into side content. Of course, there are still going to be optional side dungeons from here on, but patches mainly are going to follow this kind of pattern from here on in. I'm hoping I actually get the orchestrion role, the music from this dungeon. On my main character, I often use this music in my own apartment, though I don't have one for Komor yet. It's a pretty chill time, this music. I believe this guy drops a key somehow? Not sure what the bear is doing with the key. I've played Snowcloak enough times to at least remember that. And our first boss. The mechanics on this one, I don't remember. Not that it matters. Even if you're going into a dungeon the first time, you can usually get by sight reading. Pretty sure that's a raid-wide, or a party-wide. It is. Guess it's a good thing I put on the barrier. We also have a stacking mechanic. That one was for free for the boss, but if we make any, or 3 more mistakes, and get a stack of 4, I guess we get punished for it. Although, it seems like he's going to apply another stack now. Maybe Ifrit will thaw us out. Ifrit Eki. Everyone get in the circle. Not those circles. Well, I hardly consider that fair. Well, we avoided 4 stacks anyway. Ah, yes. This is strange. They don't actually give you real gear for these dungeons. It's a little trend that they do for I don't know how long, but they stop it at some point. Instead of giving you actual gear, they give you things you can trade in for gear, which is kind of a hassle, so I'm not going to pick it up. Even if I could probably trade those in for gear that I can turn in for seals somewhere. But I'd rather not deal with that. And here's a mechanic with wind. I think we just want to not stand in the wind, but... Seems like the monk was doing some pulling for the tank. Hopefully that doesn't cause any issues, though I know. People have different levels of chill about that sort of thing. I think we're moving ahead. The wind only happens in certain portions, so as long as you stay in a safe zone, you're okay to pull. The mobs aren't exactly all stacked up, but it's no problem. It maybe doesn't bear mentioning, but each mob has a kind of, I could say, like a bouncing boundary around them, which kind of pushes other mobs away from them. They can't all overlap over each other. So bigger mobs would naturally push away smaller mobs, and it's hard to overlap them for AoEs. Always a weird positioning thing in dungeons like this. Do I need a barrier? I'll put it on. Well, I guess it was good. Now they changed the way that this boss works to be simpler. Launches you in the air and just stay away from the big one. Used to be some mechanic that you had to lure one of his attacks into a snowball and make it bigger, or you didn't want to do that. Not actually sure. I experienced that previous version of the dungeon, but I don't remember how it works anymore. This is all part of their, I guess, compliance to make this dungeon fit in terms of difficulty with other earlier dungeons. Perhaps they deemed it too difficult at this point to make them do this kind of position yourself to avoid damage mechanic, or rather position the boss's attack for that. I'm not going to heal myself, but I guess I should stand closer to the healer for the AoE heals they're doing. That's my fault. And I guess he would do 3 snowballs this time, if he were alive. This is actual armor, so I can trade that in, but I won't need that. Guess I didn't get the bracelet, someone else did. Oops. Second boss already? No, not quite. Managed to eat some food. Got my delivery in between this episode and the last. Actually feeling a little bit sick after eating so much. Always a problem for me. Almost every meal that I eat is always eating too much. Even small portions feel like too much food. That feeling of overeating is almost a constant feeling for me after every meal. So I end up just leaving food for leftovers in the fridge, so I avoid that feeling, rather than eating the entire thing. So I guess that's not the worst thing in the world. It just means that whatever I get from takeout is something I can eat the entire day. For breakfast, lunch, and dinner sometimes. I'm not picky on variety. A little arena here. Just take out the enemies as they come in. Which makes doing wall-to-wall pulls, as people like to do, impossible, but I think it's nice to vary things up a little bit like this. Rather than make people run wall-to-wall, have the enemies come to you sometimes. They were really just kind of hanging out in their caves there. I guess the idea is that they were frozen in the walls for eternity or something. And our activity out here woke them up or something. Uh-oh, that guy's gonna do something. Should have targeted him first. He's one of the cool guys. One of the cooler heretics that actually summon dragons rather than being entirely useless and just serving them. And I believe this one will drop the key we need. Because this one was the actual human guy that transformed into the dragon. He didn't summon a dragon, he transformed into one. That's why it had the key. And the boss is not a dragon, but a wolf. I think this guy changed too a little bit, Fenrir. The boss design, that is. Though I can't remember what this guy used to be. Should probably spread out. Usually a good idea. Right, this mechanic. We want to get behind one of these. Any one of them. At least for now. I'm the only one that can do range damage? No, the healer can do it too. Oh damn. I wasn't quick enough to get away. Neither was the healer. We're just kind of sitting here. I'll give you an addle, why not? Do I want to stand away from there? Yeah. He turned to face me, so I knew that was only going to be bad. And here we go again, but this time I remember we don't want to be near the purple ones. And make sure to get away from this one. The healer forgot. But they got away anyway. Our tank is frozen though. They stayed near the purple one. Can't handle that. You're on your own. Not that you needed my help in the first place. Because Garuda, or rather, Titan Eggy was out, I couldn't do the barrier on myself. Need Carbuncle for that. Guess I can put it on now, for the roar. No wait, the roar is that move. And here we go one more time. Gotta find the purple ones and this way. And get away. And limit break. I guess I could have waited a little bit longer, huh? Oh wait, I consumed both. I didn't realize that. My squadron is ready, or rather, new recruit. Actually, what happened there? Speaking of squadron, there's a kind of mechanic with the squadrons where you get to do limit breaks. Maybe I'll do that in a later episode, I don't know. But when you use the limit break with the squadron, it only consumes a bar that's filled. And if a bar is partially filled, it doesn't consume the partially filled bar. What happened just there, the mistake that I did, was using the limit break when it was about, well, it was 1.9 bars filled or something like that. It used up the 1 bar like I expected, but it also used up the 0.9 partial bar filled, effectively wasting that limit break. I guess I should have waited for it to be completely 2 bars filled for maximum usage, but I didn't really think we'd keep the boss alive long enough for that to happen. Even so, I thought the partial bar would have remained, but I'm just now remembering you'll still use up the partial bar, so maybe I'll have to think to avoid that in the future. Anyway. Where exactly are those heretics?
The tales do not do you justice, warrior of light. Yes, I know who you are, and you know who I am. I was given the name Izel, but I earned the name Iceheart. This endless cycle of hatred, of bloodshed, of sorrow. You would see it continue, O noble warrior of light. I would not. I will not. I will bring an end to this war between dragon and man, no matter the cost. In time, you will come to understand that what we do for the greater good. For Eorzea, for Hydaelyn.
Well, we found the heretic queen herself, or whatever. I bet she lays with dragons. She's one of the cool ones. "'Tis a blessing you are still with us. Commander Levieux took to pacing in your absence. Were you worried about me, Alfino? Though I did not doubt that you would return, I am nonetheless relieved to see my judgment validated. Even knowing what to look for, it's easy to miss. And the covering of ice doesn't take long to reform either. How many more tunnels like this might there be in Snowcloak? Come to think of it, how many might there be throughout Corthus? Speaking of the tunnels, this is something that always bothered me ever since day one. On my main character and even now, where exactly is the entrance to Snowcloak here? It's somewhere past this ice wall, but the entrance is just put right here where the map ends. Is it like above us or something? We sometimes saw Izael, Iceheart, up on the cliff here looking down on us, but I see no entrance. And I'm sure they alluded to the entrance being hidden, but was that something that happened last episode? I don't actually recall. Did we learn where the entrance was through the heretics' movements and things, or... I remember in the cutscene they said they found a narrow entrance or something, but still don't know where that narrow entrance is. Of course, the answer is probably that they didn't think to model in an entrance over here when they created this area in 2.0. And now that we're here in 2.4, they can't really change the overworld to add in an entrance. Or I guess that might be too much work or something. So the entrance to the dungeon is just this glowing area right here. Or I'm missing it, I don't know, still. That's like... maybe the biggest problem that I have with any dungeon entrances. The rest of them are okay for me. Geo? Sorry, Geo. I already did that dungeon. That took longer than I expected. What news, Komori? So Iceheart is but a pseudonym. Not that it matters. That she managed to escape is regrettable, but from your description of that beast, you did well to come as close as you did. In any case, now that you have cleared a path, the Temple Knights can begin to survey the tunnels in earnest. Mayhap they will even find a route past the ice wall. Wouldn't that do wonders for their fight against the heretics? The Crystal Braves would certainly share the credit for it too. 12 be praised, Komori. We may yet turn this situation to our advantage. Assuming we stop Iceheart before she summons Shiva, of course. Needless to say, our fellow scions have not been idle. Enfilia and Urianja have been busy perusing the archives of House Fortams, to gathering what information they can on Shiva. Which reminds me, if you are intending to trudge back to Camp Dragonhead to report on the day's events, don't. The antecedent should be here any minute. I can only assume some people enjoy subjecting themselves to this cold. Ugh. Didn't talk to you, Hase. This is no place for the Son of the Sand. I tell you, if a merchant offered me wools at a premium, I would be fair tempted. Son of the Sand, I guess he's from Ul'dah. I don't recall recruiting him. I think he just kind of showed up in Mordona alongside the other recruits, and we gave him a uniform. No, let's wait for Enfilia. Oh, she actually did an outfit change, unlike some people, Elfie. Yes, I'm looking at that patch of skin you're bearing. Should maybe think about dressing more warmly next time. Antecedent. You come to us straight from the archives of House Fortams. I trust your time there proved fruitful. Would that it had. Urianja and I scoured countless texts, but what we found was of questionable veracity. Accounts of Shiva's life and deeds are sparse and contradictory, only agreeing upon one point. That she laid with dragons, right? The most important part? I knew it. She lay down with a dragon, the gravest of all sins, according to the Ishgardian face. But by my standards, the coolest of all sins. Yet in the eyes of Iceheart's followers, this was a holy act, the blessed union of man and dragon. See, this is why the heretics are cool. They're not cool for other things, but this is a reason that they could be cool. How such a thing could even be possible is quite another question. Suffice it to say, I very much doubt we will find a useful answer in the archives of House Vortops. Yes, the question of how does weigh heavily on a person's mind. But life finds a way. Much knowledge has been lost over the centuries, though in this case, one wonders if it is by circumstance or design. You said that Iceheart took a moment to plead her case prior to escaping, did you not? Viewed without prejudice, most would agree that bringing an end to an endless war serves the greater good. I think Sir Aymeric might take issue with her methods. I do not care if a few stragglers manage to escape. Until the sappers confirm that the tunnel is safe, the men are not to search it. Yes, Lord Commander. You pursue your foes with less zeal than I had expected, Sir Aymeric. Lest you misunderstand, I do not deny that our enemy has given us good reason to be prudent. I merely meant, you being a man of faith, that I had expected a certain single-mindedness. After all, was it not by the will of Halone that your ancestors came to this land? Why they took up arms against the Dravanians? What would they have done in your position, I wonder? There are those who believe that faith is a renunciation of free will, that unquestioning devotion is required of all who would live a life in service to the Fury. Such righteous fervor may well serve a knight on the front line, less so a leader of men. We are all at liberty to interpret the scriptures as we will. I choose to believe that the Fury would value the lives of her followers over the deaths of her enemies. But I would not presume to speak for the Knights of Eld. 'Twas a different time, nay, a different era, and Scripture tells us only so much. Would that it told us more. That man is awfully pragmatic for a servant of the Holy See. A welcome trait at the negotiating table, to be sure, less so when one's enemies are making ready to harness the power of a god. Mayhap he does not truly believe that Iceheart's plan can succeed. Truth be told, I too remain somewhat skeptical. Shiva was real, a living, breathing woman. Of that there can be no doubt. In this respect, she differs from every other figure to have been summoned, each of whom was worshipped as a god. She brings up an excellent point. All the summons that we kind of dealt with up until now weren't people. They were like beings, with the exception being Mughal-Mog, who, if we consider Mughals as people, which we should, I guess. I mean, it kind of depends. Then Mughal-Mog was just one of them, the king was, or he could have been a figure of myth who was entirely made up, while Shiva is historically real. It's a kind of weird, gray area, I suppose. But of course, that's what this is all about and what we're getting at. The sole exception being good King Mughal-Mog XII, the myth made manifest in response to the fervent supplications of the Mughals' guard, Saint Shiva may differ, but what of the heretics? They are a tribe of outcasts at war with a mighty nation, who yearn for the resurrection of the one who embodies their beliefs. If that is not placing one's faith in a higher power, then what is? Crystals and conviction, Minfilia, they have them both in abundance. Can that truly be all that is required? My survey team has concluded a preliminary analysis of the aetherite Iceheart used to escape. They believe that she teleported to another aetherite, somewhere not far to the west. Despite the apparent proximity of this second aetherite, however, they have been wholly unable to detect its presence directly. Unless Iceheart has some means to mask its signal, I can only presume she had it destroyed, to prevent us from following her. Without the means to teleport as she did, we have no choice but to search for an alternate route, most likely a tunnel, assuming one exists. Let us not give up on teleportation just yet. One of our colleagues in Charlian may be able to assist us. I pray that you are right. I dare not think how long it will take us to survey the entire tunnel system. While Minfilia looks into our aetherite problem, I would like to request your assistance with another matter. The third unit is currently tracking the remnants of the heretic force which attacked us. However, the search goes poorly despite our numbers. Korthus is vast, and Iceheart's followers know the terrain far better than we. Your knowledge of this region may serve to hasten the process. The sooner we capture Iceheart's followers, the sooner we can press them for their leader's whereabouts. Also, though it is admittedly a selfish request, I feel that my braves would benefit immensely from working alongside you. While we have our share of veterans, we also have more than a few less experienced recruits, many of whom look up to you, in case you were not aware. Good. I knew that you would understand. Yu Hase can apprise you of the details. When the task is complete, come and find me at the observatorium. Captain Ilbert and I are meeting there to discuss the latest developments in his investigation. The Temple Knights shall hold Snowcloak in our absence. Let us leave them to their work. Ours is more pressing. And while Komori leads Alphinode's Crystal Braves, maybe she'll poach some for her own gang, which I guess Alphinode remains blissfully unaware. Because the gang doesn't actually exist, I'm making it all up, but still. Yu Hase, do you want to defect to Komori's gang? Name pending. There you are, Komori. Commander Levier instructed me to wait for you. Your assistance is most welcoming, believe me. Most of the Third hail from Ul'dah, and for a man accustomed to the feel of sand beneath his boots, the crunch of snow can be rather disconcerting. But to the matter at hand, nary a moment ago I received word that the heretics we seek have been spotted making for Danafin Pass. My braves are already in pursuit, and I should be grateful if you would join them. I myself shall be taking part in the hunt. Never let it be said that I do not earn my coin. The guy was all about the coin, wasn't he? Turn off that music. We're not doing that. Just hanging out here? Those balls, my ankle's on fire. Got my boot on a rock or something and twisted it as I fell. The others went on ahead through Danafin Pass. Hurry and you might catch up. If you aren't sure where to go, look for tracks. The snow is fresh, so they shouldn't be hard to find. Go on without me, Scion. I'm in no condition to run. Just follow the fresh tracks. Ugh. How can anyone run in this blasted snow without knowing what's underneath? I guess this guy's also from the sand, so that's what Yu Hase was saying. Not used to running on snow. Is running on snow and running on sand somewhat similar? I wouldn't know, I haven't really had much experience with either. I guess the snow is probably more slippery, even if it crunches underneath you like sand might. Back here again, huh? They alluded to there being tunnels here as well, but I don't think that's what we're here for. The track leads southeast. Scion, what are you doing here? The heretics? I'm not sure. There's a great-scaled beast and... Yu Hase? I think he went east on his own. The heretics split up. So we did too. I just need a moment to catch my breath. Just a moment, madam. I'll be right behind you. They really have trouble running on the snow, don't they? Yup. Need to summon Carbuncle. Paralyze? Don't you paralyze me. Great. Well, that slowed me down about a fraction of a second. That wasn't too bad. How embarrassing. I was so intent on following the heretics' tracks that I almost failed to notice they had doubled back. Almost, mind you. One tried to sneak up behind me and got a knife in the gut for his troubles. Damn. Don't underestimate Yu Hase, I guess. Creepy guy. I thought myself alone, so I started searching the dead man's knapsack for anything of interest. And lo and behold, before his friends found me, I came upon this. Withdraw in groups of 3 or less to the observatorium. Give the signal and wait. The merchant will be watching. Be late, and be left for dead. Speaks for itself, does it not? They can't possibly mean to rendezvous inside the place, so we should restrict our search to the surrounding areas. Let me rephrase that. You should restrict your search to the wilderness around the observatorium. I will need more than a moment's rest to recover from these wounds. Quickly, Komori, quickly. I will inform Captain Ilbert of the heretics' plans, but you must make sure that they do not escape before reinforcements arrive. Yeah, Yu Hase might be a little bit more dangerous than I thought. Maybe best not to poach him for Komori's gang, lest we get stabbed in the back. Although I guess that is a good quality to have in a gang. You want your gang to be dangerous and unpredictable, right? I'm through with listening to your excuses. We leave now. How? The woods are crawling with those bluecoats, and the knights are searching every wagon that passes through the gates. Well, stay with her then if you think you'll fare any better. No, there's no need for that. There are places like this in my homeland. Sacred snow-capped peaks where blood must not be shed. Yet your lands ever thirst for the blood of the fallen, and by your deeds, it has drunk deep. Yugiri. I forgot her name in a previous episode just because she was off-screen for a while, but I feel ashamed for having forgotten such a central character. Her name is Yugiri. I'll try to remember. No, I've done no wrong. None but meet in secret with heretics. Deny it all you will. We shall have the truth from you yet. Inquisitors are not the only ones skilled in the art of interrogation. Damn it all. Fancy meeting you here, Komoy. I presume your work with the Third brought you hither. What a tangled web. Lest you wonder, we came not for the heretics, but for the merchant, who has been conspiring with them. It came to our attention during the course of our investigation into the Ivy. It beggars belief, I know, but it seems our favorite Garlean spy may have been providing assistance to Weisshart. Were it not for the efforts of Lady Yugiri and her shinobi, we might never have discovered this connection. Master Alfinod is too kind. I fear my people and I have done little to aid your search for this spy. We long to strike back against the Empire and weaken their influence in this land, to prevent the tragedy which befell Doma from reoccurring. The days ahead and the work they promise will require a very particular set of skills. Skills which I am fortunate enough to possess. If you will allow it, I would accompany you until the investigation is complete. That is a most generous offer, Lady Yugiri, and one which I will gladly accept. Thank you. Though I may disappear for a time, know that I shall never be far, and shall always be watching. And know that even if you disappear off-screen for a while, I will remember your name, Yugiri. I promise, this time. A comforting thought. Come, Komoy. Let us wait inside for Captain Ilbert to return and deliver his report. They have crops growing here. In the snow. What is this, cabbage? Gissel greens? I'm guessing gissel greens because they're near the chocobos. You really are tiny, Shortstack, aren't you? Captain Ilbert seemed confident that the merchant's resolve would swiftly crumble when pressed. If so, we should have new information ere long. As to whether it will bring us any closer to learning the Ivy's identity, I would rather not say. Given our adversary's cunning, I shall consider us fortunate if we are spared another wild dodo chase. The gods know we have more than enough to occupy our time as it is. More food. They're kind of, giving you a lot of those. For whatever reason. Captain Ilbert, your report, if you will. Aye, Commander. Firstly, with regard to the heretic we captured, I regret to say that the man could tell us naught that we did not already know of Shiva. We have since handed him over to the Ishgardian authorities. Henceforth the Holy See will pursue the matter independently. Our inquiries concerning the Ivy, however, have proven more fruitful. We have ascertained the channel by which the heretics acquired their information on the shipment routes. Go on. You will recall the flame which we first identified as being in the Ivy's employ. From him we were able to trace a trail of conspirators, each taking us closer to his master. Alas, the trail came to an abrupt end. Fearing that the investigation had been compromised, we took the necessary step of detaining all suspected of conspiracy. There were 5 on the list, including a flame stationed at Revenant's Toll. The man's primary duty was to keep an inventory of donations from abroad, the particulars of which he would share with benefactors, thereby ensuring that needs did not go unfulfilled. By virtue of his role, he was privy to the details of all shipments bound for the settlement. Needless to say, that included those originating from House Fortance. He knew the precise route the caravan would take, and he sold that information to a merchant. I think I can guess which one. None other. With a little encouragement, he soon confessed to knowingly aiding and abetting the heretics. Well, that is one mystery solved, at least. And what of the Ivy? Are we any closer to prizing off his mask? I dare say we are, Commander. Our relentless pursuit has forced him to commit a grave error. In a desperate bid to cover his tracks, the Ivy resorted to exercising certain administrative powers, available only to high-ranking members of the Immortal Flames. If you consider then that our investigation is known to barely a handful of them, the field of suspects is greatly narrowed. You mean to say the agent is among Raubon's innermost circle? Someone who has been with him since the Immortal Flames' establishment? 'Tis the most plausible explanation. The infiltration likely occurred during the company's founding, with the groundwork for the act being laid beforehand. To slip into a position of authority unremarked, and remain above suspicion all these years. I too was surprised, though I really should not have been. Of the three grand companies, Ul'dah's was ever the more vulnerable to infiltration. Both Limsa Lominsa and Gridania had long-standing armed forces that lent themselves well to the formation of the Maelstrom and the Order of the Twin Adder. To all intents and purposes, it was the same people, loyal ones, mind, under the same leadership, only the banner was different. Not so the Flames. Ul'dah's military was made up of disparate orders, most of which were glorified mercenary companies that answered only to their own paymasters. Hardly an ideal environment in which to establish something as high-minded as a grand company. This kind of tracks with the corruption that we saw with the Brass Blades and everything. Although the Brass Blades weren't really part of the grand company, they're just kind of linked in the chain of command or something. I don't know exactly how it works. Although I guess you could say the same thing about that one Twin Adder guy that was doing some suspect things in Gridania when we had some quests over by the Druthers Bar. The one guy that we actually recruited into the Crystal Braves, actually now that I think about it. But I guess Ul'dah's a more likely suspect. The difficulties Raubon faced when founding the Immortal Flames are well known, even after he had convinced his fellow syndicate members to share the cost. There remained the small matter of finding enough bodies to fill the ranks. Indeed, and given the pressing nature of the Imperial threat, that meant recruiting every passing sellsword. Amidst the chaos of its founding, it would have been child's play to infiltrate the company. A good deal easier than now, aye. The Immortal Flames have ever been caught between conflicting interests, the public and the private. Though the monetarists ultimately agreed to support the organization's founding, it was not out of charity that they did so, but simple self-preservation. Had Nael Van Darnus's ambitions been any less apocalyptic, you may be sure that they would never have risked supplying Raubon with an army. 'Tis but a wonder they did not attempt to extinguish the flames the moment the danger had passed. Ahem, returning to the present. Even as we speak, our Doman allies are shadowing several high-ranking flames, any one of whom could be the Ivy. Desiring to deal a blow against the Empire, the refugees were eager to lend us their aid. I expect to hear from them ere long. Very good. Pray continue your investigation with the first. Meanwhile, have the second attend to the unrest. The third can join the force in inspecting crystal shipments. If they notice anything unusual, I want to know about it. If Shiva is summoned in like manner to the other primals, the heretics will be looking for further supplies. Understood, Commander. I shall send word to Sir Amaric informing him of our success in identifying the heretics' abettors. Hopefully the information will be of some use to the Ashgardians. It is time, Commander. Yes, I am aware. An emergency council of the Alliance leadership has been called. There have been developments in Garlemald, it would seem. As commander of the Crystal Braves, my presence has been requested. I would have you accompany me, Komoi. As the realm's stoutest champion, 'tis only meet that you be present for the discussion. Oh, and the antecedent has already given her consent, lest you worry. It was only earlier in the day, where Ilberd was voiced in a cutscene, but I've already kind of lost track of what it was. I know there was some kind of accent, but he was also kind of... I don't know how to describe it. In any case, if he's voiced again, which I think he should be, I'll try to keep it in mind. Again, not that I'm doing any accurate voicing, just to at least distinguish them between other characters. Pick something rather than nothing. Upon the honor of the Crystal Braves, I swear that I shall not rest until the Ivy is unmasked and in chains. Like me, you are doubtless eager to conclude our business with Iceheart. But until another path to her sanctum is found, she will remain beyond our reach. Minfilia and the Archons are sparing no effort to secure an alternate route. Until such time as they succeed, I suggest we give some thought to the realm's other problems. I shall go on ahead to Gridania in readiness for the coming council. Meet me at Nofika's altar, and we shall make our way to the Lotus Stand together. Seems like we do a lot of meetings at the Lotus Stand. I guess it's kind of a picturesque place for meetings. A table out in the open, where people just kind of stand around instead of sitting around it. It's more of a backdrop than anything else, but it's a good backdrop. You're here too. Right, I guess he said he was coming. Maybe he'll be voiced in this scene and I'll be able to remember what he actually sounds like. Unlike Raubon, politics is not my cup of tea. While you and the commander attend the council, I will attend to some business of my own. Darn, I guess he won't be voiced after all. My thanks for coming, Komoi. When you are ready, speak to the conjurer yonder. She will show us to the Lotus Stand. Same mind. The Alliance leaders await you at the Lotus Stand. Will you be joining them now? We'll join them, but we'll join them when it's done raining. Oh look, it's done raining.
Change has come to the Garlean Empire, and we must discuss the implications.
The rumors are true, then? The War of Succession is ended?
It is. A new emperor reigns in Garlemald.
Who?
The birth and all too rapid expansion of the Garlean Empire is commonly attributed to the strategic brilliance of Solus Zosgalvis, yet he did not rule alone. Several members of the royal household also distinguished themselves during his reign. Nevertheless, it was the eldest son who stood to inherit the throne, until his most untimely passing.
I thought us fortunate when I learned that the Emperor had died without naming a successor.
Would that the Garlean Empire had died with him.
'twas the grandson and his uncle who had the strongest claims, was it not?
Indeed, yet claims count for little without the power to assert them. High Legatus Varus Ye Galvus is a respected military leader. Not so his uncle.
So young Varus has torn the crown from his uncle's grasp and taken his place at the head of the Empire.
Given the troubled nature of his succession, the new emperor will require time to seal his grip on power. Yet have no doubt but that he shall, for there are none left with strength enough to oppose him.
Since the success of Operation Archon, the remnants of the 14th Legion and the forces occupying Alamigo have done naught but fortify their positions. But you can be sure they'll be ready to march on us again, if their Emperor gives the word.
When, not if. They say this Varus was so set upon Eorzean annexation that he spoke out against the Meteor Project.
Plainly, the new emperor's intentions are of great concern to us all. I propose that we set aside the Cartno dispute for the present, and discuss what measures the Alliance might take to prepare for a resumption of hostilities with Garlemald. Moreover, I move that we re-examine the question of how our former allies in Ishgard might be persuaded to retake their place at our side. Could Eorzea but stand as one, 'twould deal a grave blow to our enemies' ambitions.
Well, I suppose we should be grateful that they have finally acknowledged the inevitability of Imperial attack. Who knows? They may even do something about it. If only the leaders of Ishgard would follow their example and stop hiding behind their gates, praying for the coming storm to pass them by. But that is a discussion for another time. At present, I am more concerned by the fact that the Alliance's mooted preparations will be made known to the Garleans many moons before their coming. So long as the Ivy eludes our grasp, no secret is safe.
Oh, and would you look at that? By the time we come out of the cutscene, the rain has actually stopped in the real game as well. Am I allowed to... Cool. I'm not sure what this little dish is used for, but it seems as good a place as any to take a break.